Hi, everybody. My name is Maddie Jones, and I'm the editor at Plus Model Magazine. And welcome. Happy Friday. I know there's a lot going on right now, and I definitely want to say, I want to say a respectful that we're praying for the people in Ukraine. I've been glued to the TV and to media, so I know that there's a lot going on, but I did want to take some time out to celebrate our cover model. Her name is Lauren Carter. She's an amazing model. She does a lot of work behind the scenes, and I thought that she would be an inspirational person to speak to for all of us, really, for myself, for you, for all of us. But I did want to mention that we are praying for the people in Ukraine and, for the entire, world, because there's just a lot going on right now. I do want to say for anyone that's new to the IG Lives, we try to be really respectful to our guests and to each other. If we see anything, I'm doing this on my own, so you just have to give me a little bit of a break. I'm going to go in, I'm going to delete people or whatever, because there's always trolls, there's always people, and I hate that I have to mention it, but I'm here, I'm watching, and I'm trying to monitor and moderate at the same time. So let's get Lauren in here. There she is. Okay, let's see if I could get her. Set. There she goes.
Hi, hi, Maddie. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good,
Beautiful.
doing good. A little nervous, but good.
No need to be nervous. We just have a good time here.
Yes. I know it. I know. And I'm in good hands.
Yes, always. It's
How
so
are
good to
you?
see you. Good. We're a little snowed in today, but we're good. Hanging in there.
Yes. I'm in the Pacific Northwest, and we had snow yesterday. And I just moved up from California, so I'm not used to it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Me and my daughter are walking outside, like, what is this on the ground? Like, is it winter now? We don't know what that is.
Exactly. I know. My daughter looked at me. She's like, I thought it was spring. I was like, not yet, babe. We still got one more to go.
We have a while. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me, though. I'm super excited to be on with you.
So much. I've been so looking forward to this. I want people to know
too.
all about you. You just do so much in front of the camera, behind the camera. So let's get started on that. A lot of people want to know, how did you get started in the plus size industry?
Really kind of on a fluke. I always played around with the idea. Back when I started, plus size modeling still wasn't really popular, so it kind of wasn't a thing I thought about. I always thought, I'm a bigger girl, I can't model. And somebody sent me a link to a Torrid interview, and I was like, okay, why not? So I went, and the first time I went, I had this like red mohawk. And they called me back once, and that's the first time I've ever did anything like that, where you're walking on a set and you're in front of cameras and did an interview. And then I got cut, and then a year later, I went back again, and I made it to the top 3 finals. So that's how I got started, and that top 3 finals really kind of catapulted me in the industry. I had a lot of people reaching out to do collaborations and runways, and I kind of just dove in head first, got addicted to doing, the hustle of modeling. And about a year after that, being solo, then I got signed, and that's when it actually, like, the real work took off. So.
Wow. Yeah, I definitely want to talk about that, because a lot of people that first start out, they kind of think like, what, the end all be all is getting with an agency. And it's, to me, it's getting with the right agency, an agency that sees you for who you are. And I hate that I even have to say this. It's like, we shouldn't even have to say this in our industry, but a lot of people still did not believe in having bigger models on their roster. A lot of people.
Yeah.
Very strong conversations with agency owners and, agents. And they're like, well, it doesn't make any sense for us to have them on the board if they're not going to get booked. And I'm like, but if you're not pushing them and developing them, because on the flip side, the client is telling me, well, we don't have anyone to choose from because they're not developed. So I don't want them because no one's going to hire them, and we can't hire them because they're not developed. So we were stuck in this place. And it's not until someone says, you know what, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to be part of the change. Yeah. I'm going to get the A+, and I'm going to the model so that they're ready for it. And then I'm going to push them out there. And that's what we need to see more of. So I love that it happened for you that way, because you're not the 14, 16, we look at you like, yes.
It's a lot going on.
I love it.
Yeah.
But talk to me about
I got lucky
without an agency and with an agency. Like, how was that?
Yeah, I got lucky. So when I started, I definitely was on my own. I had no idea what I was doing. And at first, when I first started, of course, I had my eyes on the prize, these big agencies. Cause I thought that was it. You know, like you need to make a big agency and then your life's changed forever. And luckily along the way, I met other models who had been in the industry. I don't know. Summer Green, she was on the cover last year. So
Yes.
I always say she has always been my guide in the industry. So I went on to one of her runway shows and she took me under her wing ever since. And she gave it to me real. There's a lot of hard conversations we had behind the scenes where she was like, you need to slow down. And she would really break down the process of agents and what to do. And, you know, she's told me, you know, look for something smaller, more supportive, because you don't want to get stuck in a closed contract on a big board and be sitting there for years. You're going to be disappointed and want to give up. So I was guarded a little bit and blessed to have that friendship with Summer right away. And she really guided me. And I will say this, the first agency that I went with is Black owned. So IPM Models. And she did actually take me in and she definitely molded me. So, and it wasn't easy. So there was, again, a lot of hard conversations. But she gave it to me real. And she said, when you're walking on set as a Black girl, a plus size model, you have a lot of expectations more than your average model because we didn't have room to mess up. Right. So we had to make sure they knew what to do with our hair, or our hair was right, or our undergarments were right, or we had the right undergarments, or we had to lead on set. Again, this was about 5 years ago. I think there's been a lot of change in the industry since then, even though that's a short window of time. But there were a lot of situations where, you know, I had to make sure I spoke up for myself and said, hey, let me go run and put this undergarment on so it looked right, you know, so down the line, if a picture comes out of me, it looks good. But as far as agency, that is huge. Having somebody and finding an agent that will invest in you and your growth, especially at the beginning stages, even later on, I'm still very hypercritical of who I work with. I've been blessed to have this new agency. I work with JL Model Management. Julie is amazing, and we are a smaller agency, and I love it because I feel like I have contact with my agent, and that's one thing that I think is also important when you're looking for an agency is fill your agent out. Talk to other girls who work with them because they're kind of like your gatekeeper to your work and your money. And if you can't have a conversation and communicate on where your goals are or what you can improve on, and if they're not being honest with you and open with you on like what they think you need to do or how you can grow, then you know you could end up getting stuck.
Right. That's such a good point. That's such a good point. I think sometimes we're just so, I want an agent, I don't want an agent. You want the right agent. And you just hit the mark. You want someone that you can have that conversation.
Yes.
It's really a two-way street. So, there she is, Julie.
I love you, Julie. She's great. I love Julie. I mean, I truly do. And I think that another important part of having the right agency is even if you do go smaller, you also have to be conscious of making sure they're booking you to what you are worth. So I think a lot of times with modeling, we think, oh, I just need to get exposure. And then models get burnt out because they're putting in all this work and time. And eventually, like, the money starts adding up, your time with your family, your life, and it could burn you out. And you want to avoid that because it's a long haul, a very long haul. It doesn't happen for many overnight. And so you want to protect that.
Yeah, you're in it for it's a big picture, it's a long journey.
Yes.
So people are like, okay, so now I get an agent. Now what? How would you describe your responsibility to the agency? Like once you're signed agent model, I know, but I want to hear it from your words as a working model. What are your responsibilities to the agency?
Be ready to hustle. Be ready to hustle. Be ready to invest. I think a lot of people look at modeling as it's glamorous and it's fun and it looks glamorous, but it is hard. I mean, you're walking off airplanes. You're trying to figure out where studios are. You're lugging luggage around 24/7. You're constantly on the go, always having to make sure that you're ready to go. And outside of the hustle, just in like the day to days, also being your best advocate.
Right.
So you have to learn how to invest in yourself, your image, and your overall career. So a lot of times that means always updating your portfolio, practicing on your work, practicing on your moves, learning your look, learning your aesthetic, and it takes a long time, and it does take a lot of money to invest. And I think that
Yeah.
that's kind of the misconception when you first start modeling. You think that you're signed, and you think that, okay, I got the money, this is it. But a lot of times it's not like that. You have to, work other jobs, and you have to still, provide a roof over your head while you're chasing your dreams. And unfortunately, we're still in a world where modeling, everybody's a model, right? So if you say anything to somebody, they're like, okay, you model too, so that's always been kind of my insecurity, is I don't talk much about it in my personal life, and I always am pretty hush hush about that side of my life, because I never want to be taken not seriously. Like I want to be I'm a real booked agency model, and a lot of times that also takes patience. So I've been in it for 7 years now, and I feel like I'm still scratching the surface. So for that, it just takes a lot of patience and belief in yourself to like really push through. Your agent is there as like your tool, but like you have to be, how hungry are you going to be for it? And you have to be your biggest advocate, one, and be ready to hustle and invest for, some time.
Oh my gosh. All right, guys. The takeaway here was
Take it.
the hustle. It is a collaboration between you and your agent. And correct me if I'm paraphrasing the wrong way, but it seems like you're saying it's a collaboration. They are there with you, they're your tool, but you also have a lot of responsibility on yourself. You have to be ready. You have to be putting the time, the effort, and the money. A lot of people, I just want to be famous. I wanted to, and you have to have the patience. You ended it off with, you have to have patience, because it's some people, very few, it happens overnight, but not many.
Yeah.
A lot of
No.
people are, and it's years in the making.
Yeah,
So,
when I first started, I had short blonde hair, and it was too edgy, and
which I love, by the way.
I
I
know
love
I miss it.
it. Oh,
I miss it, and but like a lot of my friends, a lot of
you're so
people were like, you're too edgy. They don't understand it yet." And this was 5 years ago. Now it's kind of different, and I end up being in a situation where I needed something different with my agent and my relationship. And so, I took a big risk. I didn't know if I was going to get signed again. I didn't know. So I took a year off, grew out my hair, waited it out. And it definitely was the best decision. But it's hard to make those decisions when you're in it and you've been hustling for years. And then everything, pauses. So it's very tricky maneuvering and finding the right fit.
right. Also, Claudia and Summer said that they are also with me, that they love the blonde hair.
That I'm seeing the comments.
Had to put it out there.
They did. I mean, we did, and we tried. And I really just want to take a second to shout out to Summer and Claudia, because those two are like my A team, and Claudia is my hair and makeup on everything that I do. I hope she thinks I did good today. She's not here. But Summer has guided me and has taught me so much on everything that I know in the game. And I am nothing without those two. I'm really nothing without those two at all. So it's
Yeah.
great having a team of support in this, because a lot of times you do need a lot of guidance, and a lot of things can cloud your mind, and the noise can get loud if you don't.
Yeah, and that's so important. I'm glad that you said that. It's very important to have people around you that are like-minded, that are really on your team.
Yes.
To see you succeed. And Summer's an OG. I've known Summer for a long time.
Yes.
And she's
out I tell her all the time, she is my favorite model. She's with IPM Models. She has always been my favorite model. And there has been so many test shoots where I have Summer and Claudia off on the side of the set, and they literally are coaching me and coming on me. And Summer, she don't play, so she don't compliment me. She will sit there with a straight face, and she's like, "Girl, nope, switch this, move this." Claudia's, showing me how to move my head and my hair and touch my makeup up. So they definitely are my fire squad, and have just taught me in Summer Green. I will always, a lot of my moves I have stolen from her. I taught her. She has taught me head to toe, from head to toe.
That's the way that it always was in the very beginning. And yeah, I'm sure you've heard from Summer, but that's the way it always was, you know, that it's just like now that it seems the industry seems a little bit more competitive, but it was always like that. We always helped each other. And that's why
Mm-hmm.
Summer can do that and say, yeah, I'm a model, but I'm going to help you and I'm going to coach you and I'm going to make sure
Mm-hmm.
that you're also in there. That
Mm-hmm.
sisterhood is what our industry was built on. That's what it was.
Yeah. And they taught me that. I learned that even with IP and models. Like, I've learned to be loyal to the ones who were there for me from the beginning, and I see that now, because as time goes on, like, the people who are right there by your side at the beginning are usually the ones that kind of keep you straight on what you should be doing in the first place. So yeah, it's a blessing. I've been very blessed to have some sort of team behind me as I've gone through this process.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
So outside of modeling, and she gets deep into modeling and all that other stuff in an interview with her when the cover first came out. So you could go to Plus Model Mag and read all about that. But we're gonna move
Yes.
on because I want to talk about LGC Creative.
Yes.
Talk to us about that, because I think it's so important for people to realize you're just not an amazing person in front of the camera. You do a lot of things behind the camera.
Yes, and thank you for asking. I have been wanting to talk more about LGC Creative. It's my baby. So, from the jump, I would be on sets and I'd just be looking around and I would see like the creative directors, and I would just be sitting there being like, I want to be that person. Like, I want to be the person calling the shots. And from that, I just stemmed out from my background in marketing, and I really started diving into a career in creative directing. So, I started just with the people, the loved ones I had closest to me. I developed brands, so Chef Tony Experience in San Diego, Faye Beauty in LA, that's Claudia's makeup line, Body by Summer for Summer Green.
Yes.
And then I started working some freelance. So I've done fashion campaigns for Shop Cosima. Right now I'm working with a manufacturer that does tailored union, and a brand called Point Studio. So I've really been able to develop everything that I know from in front of the camera, lighting, models, booking, styling, everything and beyond. And it's cool because I get to incorporate it to my life and behind the camera. So I have a lot of aspirations of being a creative director. I really am inspired by women like Elaine I'm just going to mess up her name. Wordsworth. I'm so bad. I think it's important to have a representation behind the camera. So
Yeah.
I want to be the woman who can bring in other women of color, working with people of color in our community, and setting the site and having the voice behind the scenes. And you don't see that often. A lot of times when you're walking into boardrooms, I am one of few. And so I take a lot of pride in it. I don't get to show it a lot on social media because some people don't understand. They're like, what is she talking about? Like,
Right.
why is she posting this random video? And I'm like, no, I created this. Like, this is my baby,
Right.
And I'm
Right.
very hyped about that. I think it's a great opportunity in time to have a voice as a Black woman and really be able to guide and control what is being put out, and the representation and the creativity. I think that there is a new wave of a lot of new Black creators. And I'm grateful now too, even with my work with Pacific Manufacturing, they allow me all free creativity. And so I get to, really pick and choose what is represented. And I think it's going to be an exciting road. So I really appreciate you asking about that, because that is like,
Yes.
Modeling is one thing, but my creativity and the creative directing is my heart and soul.
And modeling is a fantastic vehicle to other things as well. I don't think it's the stop. And some people, that's what they want to do and they don't go beyond that.
Yeah.
But I always look at people that have decided, you know what, this is really great, but this is just a stepping stone to something greater.
Yeah.
And modeling does have its own, perks, and you have, a certain amount of voice if you create a brand around it or whatever. But what you're doing is you're stepping into those spaces where we normally are not, whether
Yes.
it's being a Black woman, whether it's being a visibly plus size woman, being in that boardroom, making decisions for us.
Yes.
Because, let's be really honest, a lot of the times the decisions that are being made for us, whether it's marketing, fashion, or whatever it is, it's being made by people that don't look like us, that have never lived a day in their life as us.
Right.
And it's hard for them sometimes to put themselves, not everyone, because I've met
Yeah.
amazing,
Yeah.
like skinny people that absolutely love plus size people and want us to be great.
Yes.
However, that is probably not the norm, you know,
It's
but
not. It's
it's
yeah.
great to have more people in positions of power to be able to speak for us and to be there for us and say, hey guys, maybe that's not the road to take. This would be really great. This would reach her and make her feel amazing. You know,
Absolutely.
you come in, you know.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, and that's exactly. I mean, you spoke to everything of how I feel and how I move, and I to be able to reach a hand backwards and pull up the next one is kind of what I had to take a second with modeling and be like, what is this about? What do I really want from this? Like, what makes me, what fuels me in this? And that is exactly what it is opening doors for the next young Black girl, opening doors for other creatives of all types of backgrounds, and really, being that representation in that room. I mean, I'm sure you walked into rooms the same way. I mean, I walk in as a 6'1", size 18 Black girl with curly hair, and they're like, what are you doing here? Like, are you in the wrong room? And I'm like, no, you're meeting with me. And it's a great feeling. It's a great feeling. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And you touched about something, you're building your brand and LGC is your baby. Talk to me about how important it is to build your team and your support system, because it does take
Yeah.
a team in a village.
Yeah. So I learned early on that you only have a small window where you haven't really made it and you're still trying to figure it out, and then you look to your left and your right and you don't have anybody there with you. And I feel like when you're really first starting out in whatever creative industry that you're in, you have a small window where you actually have people who are just there to support you and love you and build you up. And so Issa Rae talks about it. She said, I started with the people, I'm up here with the people I started with. And I truly do believe in that. So ever since, like I said, 5 years ago, I've mentioned Claudia, I've mentioned Summer, but also a photographer, Christos Watson, Pics by Stos is his Instagram. We have worked together, all three of us, nonstop for the past 5 years. And what happens essentially is that as you start getting opportunities, your friends are getting opportunities, and then we're all growing together and we're all gaining experience together. And my goal there is, and like the point of that is just that sometimes we're always looking at who already got it, and it's better to look to your left and right with where you're at and grow with people, because you develop a different flavor, like a different sense of something. For our cover magazine for the February magazine, it was me and Christos and Claudia and Christos Watson, and we walked into a studio and we were just ready to do something creative. We're walking past sets of people had music and a whole filming set, and it was the three of us. We quietly walked in, we shot for 3 hours, and we left. And that's like the beauty of having a really strong team with you, because we're so used to being in the same routine. It's almost like we were just going to go lounge on a couch, and we end up creating some beautiful art. So
Yes, I love
yeah,
that. I love that.
yeah,
I love the support system that you have. And it also allows you to be really creative. You're not
hmm
starting with someone and you're saying, you know what, let's try to be creative together. So sometimes you don't need all the bells and whistles. You just need
yeah,
creativity to just flow through you. And I love that.
yeah.
Um, I did want to talk about, you've been in the industry now 7 years, you said. There's
hmm
definitely a lot of positive changes. Can you talk to us, and you did talk to us about this a little bit in our interview, what changes would you love to see in the near future?
Right now, yeah, we're seeing a lot more representation in campaigns with normally straight size brands, which is great. I would love to see more. One, I said hot couture, so you see some of the New York models in there. We see the Paloma on the runway, and but I would love to just see more representation of, instead of it being like, oh, we sprinkled the plus size in, so we got that check mark box off. It would
Right,
be nice just to see the average size woman being the norm.
right.
So I truly do believe that An average size woman is an artwork in herself, and the curvy woman is artwork in herself. And I think that the industry still has a way to go in incorporating it being more of a normal look instead of it being this additional thing where it's like an extra spice on top of what we're doing. Like, oh, look, we got plus size. Like, no, we got this. Another thing too, just in average everyday clothing brands, unfortunately, it's like I can't walk into a mall and find what I like, and it's unfortunate. I'm like, how is this still a thing? You know, so just more average size and inclusion, and I would say the last part would be better development and design for plus size clothing. So what I mean is like the structure, right? So a lot of times in the fast fashion brands, you're getting clothing that looks good on like a model where she's been pinned up and clipped back and lifted. And then you're putting on an item of clothes and it looks unflattering once you order it at home. So a lot of like a brand like Fashion to Figure, they do a really good job of developing their clothes. And not sometimes that is missed because yes, it takes more time to design and order and perfect
Fit it on
and
the
fit.
body instead of
Yes.
grading.
Yeah,
It's not going to look the same on a medium as it does on a 2X or 3X.
exactly. It's all about structure and not always just using the typical, oh, just make it a bigger like baggy dress or make it, a flowy skirt. Like, how can we get a fitted pencil skirt to look good? How can we get like a high waist jean and a straight leg jean to fit good? So I think there's a lot of work to do. I think a lot of designers are trying to push themselves into that area, but I think there's still a lot of education behind the woman's body and how that fits and how things fall on us that we can go. And I also think that there should be like a better balance to what's sexy and what's just saying it's, oh, look, we put you in a string bikini and you're sexy and you're confident. I think that there's a balance to being curvy and showing off like your sexuality and being classy and stylish without always having to like take it to that level of
Right.
an extreme. Right.
I always feel like that. I always feel like sexy comes from the inside.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, I'm sexy in a turtleneck. What?
Yeah.
Like,
yes.
Yeah. Like,
yeah.
I don't have the string bikini.
Well, and I remember, my first agent, Fallon, she used to get on me and she was like, I'm so tired of seeing you girls out here with your butt on Instagram. And she really, and I used to.
Era. We come from a different era when that was not what we did. You know what I mean? So.
Exactly. And I didn't understand it. But now that I've been in it for a while, now it's like, oh, I see why. I see like how you're posting and the representation of it all, of yourself and just for other women. And so, yeah, I love like women like Gabby Fresh, like, oh, she is just, her clothing is just sexy and stylish, but not too revealing. So yeah, those are a few things that I would love to see more of.
Those are fantastic. Fantastic. You hit it on the nail. Yeah.
Thanks.
So let's talk about your work with Advocate the Label before we end our live. I would love for people to know your work with them.
Yeah, so Advocate the Label is a brand. It's all 100% of the profit goes towards the survivors of human sex trafficking. They're based out of San Diego. They reached out to me 6 months ago or so, and they didn't know my story. So when I first moved, I moved with my daughter. I have a 14-year-old. She went through a hard time with our move, and a lot of teens, like, they reach out to people online and they're just trying to find a connection. We were in COVID, a lot of disconnect from their friends, and long story short, it ended up being a predator online, and we had to make a really hard decision to protect our family. She had to move for a while. We had to change schools, and as a parent, that was one of the scariest times of my life, one of the worst times of my life, when we found this out and we realized what was happening. So when that was brought to my attention, and talking to police officers and investigators, they say a lot of the times these are the start of sex trafficking issues, where these girls are just, they think that these guys are boyfriends and they're 18 years old and they become their friend, and then they end up, you know, running away or being kidnapped. So yeah, human trafficking is a pandemic at this point. And a lot of times we don't understand that a lot of the women that we're walking right past on the street, or we're seeing in clubs or on airplanes, that they, sorry, I had a phone call. So when they reached out, I was ecstatic to work with them. I love that they put funds towards education and also helping survivors, housing, clothing, all types of stuff. So I would love, if anybody is interested, to go over there, buy a shirt. They work with great people. I work with a photographer by Darius on Instagram. She's amazing. And so everybody who works with that brand, from photographers, makeup artists, models, it's all 100% free, that goes towards profits towards that.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
And thank you for sharing that story. I did share a couple of years back. Every time I hear stuff like this, I'm so scared. Actually, it was a lot of years, like 10 years ago. I remember getting a phone call from a woman who said, before I put my daughter on a plane, I just wanted to talk to someone from the magazine because she's on her way to your photo shoot. And I was like, who's your daughter? We have no shoot. What are you talking about?
Mm.
I had created a Plus Modern magazine / something or other at Gmail.
Yeah.
And coerced this, you know, young lady and told her that she was going to be at a photo shoot or whatever. And I said, ma'am, do not put her on that plane. It is not us. You will never see your daughter again.
Yeah.
We ended up having to reach the authorities, and FBI got involved, and she, like, the woman was just so grateful. But I said, thank you for listening to that, you know, instinct that says, I need to talk to someone before I put my daughter in someone else's hand. I said, don't ever, without and even with speaking someone, you should really research into who they are, because they are very good at masking who they are. So,
and that's another important part in modeling, especially for young girls who are probably on here watching, is that of having an agent, because it protects you. Your agents will know more about the brand and the people that you're working with. Yeah, it's a different world right now, and I'm really grateful to be working with that label. We're going to do more work. They have an event coming up in September in San Diego that I plan on being at. But yeah, it means a lot to me, because I feel like one of the biggest things for my life is reaching young Black women, young women of color, young curvy girls who may be fighting insecurities, feeling like they're not enough. Really trying to showcase that, listen, like how important it is to love yourself and find confidence in yourself. Because a lot of times, if you don't have that confidence and self-love, like, you're opening up a doorway to to a lot of different type of predators, and not just people as far as human sex trafficking, but how people treat you and the people. It touches to me really closely to my heart, and I really do hope that we can do some more work with them.
yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story with us.
Yes.
And being our cover model. And
thank you for having me. Second time. Round 2. Yes.
Please tell everyone where they could follow you and
Yeah.
where they could find you. I would love for everyone to follow Lauren.
Yes, please. LGC.creative is my Instagram, and my agency is JL Model Management. You can contact Julie at JL Model Management if you want to book your girl.
Girl.
So I appreciate it, Maddie. You do amazing work. You really, you've held it down for this community for years, and I know how much time and work goes into this. So thank you for being representation for us and having me on and having me bless the cover this month. It's been great. It's been great. I'm so grateful.
Yes, thank you so much, Lauren. You're truly inside and out. Truly.
Thank you.
Beautiful
Thank
person.
you so much. You're awesome. Thank you.
Thanks to the entire team who worked on that photo for the cover.
Yes.
And the editorial. And Summer, shout out. Summer, I miss you. We got to
Summer, Claudia. I love you.
Love you. And thank you so much, Lauren. And thank you everyone who watched and who will watch the recap. Make sure that you follow our girl. Thank you so much, Lauren. Have an amazing
day. Thank you. Everybody have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.